Mr. Walton, did you make contact with aliens? Were you taken to another planet, to a mothership? How did they communicate with... Can you tell me what they look like? Can you tell me how many of them there were? Were you given food?
But the teachers are alive. They're not books. They are the very living essences of nature itself.
What a strange person.
Unbelievably powerful supercomputer that's running our reality, and we don't have a clue as to how to operate it.
So when maybe you or somebody else creates an AGI system and you get to ask her one question, what would that question be?
What's outside the simulation?
Say in your mind, say to yourself, I am more than my physical body, because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world.
Do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. Do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden. As a part of a family amongst lords of consciousness. I'm the void one.
Welcome to Lighting the Void.
Broadcasting from New York, upstate, near the Great Lakes, it's Lighting the Void, and I'm your host, Joe Roop. We're live on the Fringe FM, KTLK Digital Broadcasting. It is March the 2nd, on into the 3rd, Tuesday night here, and Robert Bonomo's back with us again. You guys remember one of my favorite shows that we ever did was about his documentary called The 21 Faces of God. It had to do with the tarot initiation, the archetypes of the tarot, and he's been on the show a couple times. It's always a good conversation with Robert here. Also, tonight we're going to talk about his new documentary, which is pretty freaking awesome, by the way. Like, I just got through watching it. It's called Twilight of the Archons. And we've heard that phrase, Archons. It's usually comes from a Gnostic idea, the Archons, right? That there are these entities or gods or archons, I guess is the word for it, that run the world. You know, even some Gnostics believe that the God of the Old Testament is an archon. But what's truly running the world? That's the question. So, like, are we all players in a game of money and materialism? You know, I've talked about that on the broadcast before. You know, how have our minds been subjected to run on a program which we didn't design? Did we design it? That's a good question. And what happens if we stop agreeing to play the game? Now, if you don't know who Robert Bonomo is, he's a filmmaker, blogger, novelist, and esotericist, and works as a university lecturer. That's what he does to pay the rent. But he has published 3 novels, including The Twilight Breakout, Cactus Land, and his latest release, Your Love Incomplete, are available as free downloads on Smashwords. But in July of 2018, he released his documentary on the major arcana of the tarot, The 21 Faces of God. And this year, in February 2021, he released the new documentary on materialism, consciousness, and money, which is called Twilight of the Archons. It's good to have you back, Robert. Thanks for coming on the program, brother.
Hey, it's great to talk to you again, Joe.
Back on. How have you been in COVID world in Africa, North Africa there?
Actually, things have not been too bad here. We kind of, when we hit the peak, the hospitals kind of got maxed out, but then we're kind of coming down off the off those peaks, and people have been protesting a lot of protests because we have a curfew at 8 p.m.
Oh man, that's
So
no fun.
cafes, restaurants, taxi drivers, those guys, a lot of those guys live month to month, like a lot of people in the world, and so they were really hurting. And so next week, hopefully, we'll go to a midnight curfew, and those guys can work, full time. So we'll be back to normal, hopefully next week. Should be great.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. That's happening in a lot of places where they're lifting bans or regulations and stuff. So I hope. Well, I mean, I don't know if things are ever going to be the same again, but I hope that kind of works out. I bet you'll be glad when that happens too. Be able just to go back to some form of normalcy, right? Like that wouldn't be bad to be able to hang out again, to interact.
I'm really looking forward to it. I really think here, at least, once we push the curfew to 12, because everything is normal here except the curfew. So once that curfew gets pushed back, then it's basically we're back to normal.
Yeah, you guys got like the curfew of
which is great.
I mean, I had a better curfew when I was 14, right? Like 8 o'clock. That's rough. Right? It's a rough curfew. So
in the hard lockdown, it's interesting. Tunisia is very connected to France because it was a French colony.
Uh-huh.
So a lot of the things come through the French, either directly or indirectly. But during the major lockdown a year ago, actually, our curfew was, if I remember right, it was 5 o'clock, I think.
Whoa. Damn.
And it was creepy, dude.
That's brutal.
Because if you walked around at 5 o'clock, there was no one on the street.
Yeah, that's brutal. 5
Like
o'clock.
no one.
That is like an episode of the Twilight Zone. You look outside and the sun hasn't even set totally, and it's just empty, right? That's like the Twilight Zone, man. Where's everybody at? Like the first episode, right?
Yeah, I swear to God, that's what it felt like. I'm walking down the street and there's no one. And this is like a really noisy, loud, there's a lot of, motorbikes and tons of people on the street, and there was not a soul. It was creepy.
Yeah, man.
Really creepy.
I know the feeling. I moved from Arkansas since we talked last. I moved from Arkansas to upstate New York, so it gets darker earlier up here. It's I don't know if you've seen Game of Thrones, but it's kind of like living on the wall up here, actually, during the winter, especially. I mean, I feel like one of the guys of the Night's Watch up here for sure. That's what it feels like. So it's been a Twilight Zone for.
Because you're from Arkansas, right?
Yeah, I'm a Southern boy for sure. And I miss the South, and not just Arkansas, but just the South. I never thought I would miss an entire section of the United States before, but I miss the South. Just put me somewhere in the South, please. That's how I feel right now, because it's freezing here, man. But
that's right. You're still in winter.
Yeah, and I'm in politically, I don't really talk too much politics on the show, but politically, I'm in like one of the towers of would be like liberalism tower, the Eiffel Tower of liberals here, so it's extremely polar, one-sided here, right?
How'd you get dragged up there?
Well, Ryan Gable lives up here, and it was an opportunity that a really close friend of mine said, maybe we should get you out of the shack, and she was like, where do you want to go? And I was thinking, well, Ryan Gable, which is the late night host that comes on after me, lived up here at this place, and it was a really good deal. And I just wanted to change energy. You ever done that before, man? Or you just want to get out of this certain energy and get into a new one, So yeah, I got in the old White Thunder, the old 2001 Honda, threw everything I could in it and came up here, man. So I'm in a much better place than the Radio Shack. I can say that. But now I just want to get back to the South. I want warmer weather, So
yeah, that's one of the nice things. I love talking to you because I don't get to meet many people from the South. And so it's nice to hear someone from the South. I spent a lot of time in the South, and I miss it. I miss it too. There's a certain rhythm to the South and a humor that's different,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So let's talk about your new documentary with this idea of Archons is something that I've talked to Miguel Connor about. There's an idea of the Archons.
Sure.
I have certain ideas about it, but what I do know is that I've expressed this on the show. A lot of times when people talk about the Dark Cabal, or they talk about the reptilians or the Illuminati, or when you hear people say they, really, I've even tried to express this myself, which I think you've done it. You did it in your documentary. Like, way, you really did a good job. That a lot of this is run by the banking systems and stuff, but these systems are run based on what we tell them what we want, or vice versa, or they've learned our own psyche. I mean, I'll let you talk about it more, but the whole film was great. And it's not to say there's not an existential entity called an Archon. I'm not saying that's not true either, but there's definitely something else at play here than what we think, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, Miguel could explain it much better than I can. I mean, Miguel understands Gnosticism like few. You know?
Yeah.
But you want to think of the Archons as the rulers of this dimension. So remember, in Gnosticism, if we think of God of the Bible, say Yahweh, who runs this world, there's a God above him. There's a higher level God. And the gods that run this world, and this is very interesting with astrology, in some Gnostic cosmologies would be considered the planetary rulers. And it's a really interesting idea. As you enter, say, the solar system, so from beyond the zodiac, when you enter in, the first planet that you encounter is Saturn, which is Chronos in Greek, which is time. So you begin to be limited by time. Then you reach Jupiter, which is God, right?
Yeah. Right.
Zeus, Zeus pot. And then you come through to Mars and Venus and Mercury, et cetera, to the moon. And then from the moon, you actually enter this realm. So you could think of it that way too. When you if you look at an astrological chart, those powers that control you, in astrology, how it's like, your destiny is sort of controlled.
Yeah, it shows like your north
in Gnosticism,
node
those are the Archons.
Yeah. I see. That makes more sense now. Actually, it does.
Yeah.
So, are you saying that it's a good thing, or maybe it's a good thing because everybody studies astrology and tarot now, dude? It's insane. Since the last time I started talking to you, tell me that you haven't seen 1,000,001 tarot readers and astrologers now. They're everywhere.
It's ridiculous. And they make up their own tarot decks, and they have no idea what they're talking about. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah. It's
like Super Bowl week. Everyone becomes a football fan,
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, I get intuitive tarot, but I've tried to explain that most people, even with the Rider-Waite deck, I'm like, yeah, that was created in 1888 by Arthur Edward Waite and another person, and that all of the symbols in there correspond to the tree of life, the Sephira, everything on that deck. There's hidden stuff in there too. Actually correspond. It has a real meaning, not just a intuitive meaning, because the pictures say certain things. Like, it has a real meaning, and that's why I'm glad you did the 21 Faces of God, because you kind of really explained that in really good form. But this whole idea of Archons, people want to think, I guess they want to really look at it in a way that it's not real, or maybe comic book like, but it is real. And the way you explain the banking system, I think every child, before they ever enter into society, should understand how the banking system works. Like, the bank doesn't have any money. They don't have money. They I'll let you explain it more, but it's all about debt. They control debt, not money, and just contracts, debts and contracts.
Yeah.
That's it. Isn't it insane? It's insane.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, it's insane.
But it's kind of scary, because what you said seems ridiculous. No, what do you mean banks don't have money? But actually, when banks take cash, it goes to reserves. So that what actually they use for banking is just ledgers. I owe you this much, you owe me that much, and that's how they create money. But you're right, there is no money in there. It's just what you owe me and what I owe you. Yeah. And what's interesting is when you go to a bank, And Richard Werner, if anyone's interested in this topic a lot, I'd highly recommend Professor Werner's work. He has a lot of papers out there that you can, and this is a guy who's a serious academic. He talks about this, and I use a clip from him. I remember that clip from banking. I use one of his explanations. Banks don't lend money, and when you deposit money, there is no deposit. What you're doing is you're just lending money to the bank. You're just they're borrowing money from you, but you're not depositing anything.
It's crazy to think about it, right?
And that's kind of hard for most people to get their heads around, because when you ever rent a car and they say, all right, I don't know, 500. I think the last time I rented a car, it was like $500 or something. And I've even left deposits for cars. If you don't have a credit card, you get $500. You give the guy $500, and you rent the car. And that's what we consider a deposit, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when you put a deposit in a bank, what you're doing is you're lending them money. So when that bank goes belly up, get in line.
Yeah, they have the
like there's a box
FDIC
somewhere where
thing,
they
but
put money.
that's not going to cover everybody to think about. And it is weird when you really look at the system. It's like I go in to get a loan for a house, and they make up this paper about the loan, the interest rate, and everything. And basically, it's like going to prison, where you walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, can you protect me or give me protection?" Almost, because that's what we need. We need homes and all that stuff. But it's really like the mafia in a way too. Like, yeah, well, I'll give you money that doesn't exist as long as you pay me. If you give me the deposits, and then what we'll do is we'll put everybody else's money into that we got from everybody else's deposits into your account. But maybe not even that. What we'll do is we'll just put numbers in your account, and then you can pay us back. Basically, That's it.
And people have to get that very clear in their minds, that the bank is not taking, for example, your deposit and lending it to me, paying you 1% and lending it to me at 5% and making a spread. That is not what banks do. It's a very fundamental, it's an incredibly important thing to understand. I don't know if I don't want to just go over this if we've already talked about it, but
No, we haven't. We haven't talked about materialism the way I haven't with you yet, but at all. No.
Because I think for folks say, well, why are you, asking me, why am I so interested in this? Because I worked at a bank. So I worked in the marketing department selling loans. So I was doing the digital marketing. I'd go out, get loan applications. So I would bring in the loan applications. They'd go to the risk department. Risk would approve whatever loans they approved. Certain amount of those loans would get funded. So I knew exactly how much it cost us in marketing, exactly to the penny. How much it cost us just in marketing to get one funded loan. So not just an approved loan, a loan that was funded, that the person said, yes, I want the money. And I asked my boss, if there's no way we're making any money. This is a horrible business.
It's a bad business.
And you can't imagine the story she told me.
Yeah.
No, Joe, dude, I was like, this business sucks. I could make more money selling oranges or something. And I mean, you're talking about ridiculously bad margins. So what I did was I started asking the question to a lot of people, and nobody would give me an answer that satisfied me from a business point of view. Because, I had a pretty high level marketing job. I had guys from BNP, which is a big French bank, Banque Nationale de Paris. And they told me, oh no, they said, Bob, mortgages at BNP are loss leaders. Now get this. These clowns who had worked at BNP at pretty high level, these were consultants. They said the mortgages, the banks were losing money. And then I knew the marketing costs, and I was like, there's no way banks are losing money on mortgages. So I had to dig and dig until I actually understood that they're not lending money, they're creating money. And when they create money, then you see this is a wonderful business model. But, I'm talking about high-level people who don't understand this.
Yeah, I think it's hard for people to wrap their head around, because it sounds conspiratorial, but it's cool that you worked from a bank, that you could even testify to this. I'm not against making money. I'm not against money at all, but what we don't understand is how the materialistic world works, how we've created this dependence, first and foremost, on the money system, which the money system is run by the banks, and the banks are simply managing debt and paperwork and creating what we think has value, but it's just numbers, right? So it's like this big initial illusion that creates this dependence on
Yes.
it, and that's what starts the pyramid, right? And it's the same. It's really the same in a lot of different things in society, not just the banking system, but in medicine and all kinds of other stuff. Or food, the food industry,
Yes.
we've created all of this dependence, so to speak. And the initial system was this weird money system that does not work the way we think it does, or that they presented it as it does.
Yeah, and that's why I made a real. I made it very clear in the film that I have Professor Werner speak, and then I have the Bank of England. So remember that part I put in. I said if anyone has any doubts, and I put in a clip from the Bank of England. So this is the Bank of England explaining that banks create deposits when they make a loan. So this is how it's done. There's no doubt about this.
Yeah.
It's not like this is not a conspiracy theory. This is
No.
the truth. But yeah.
No, it's funny too, because once everybody starts realizing this, then you go into the film and you start talking about consciousness and the AI machines and Ray Kurzweil and how all of this is coming to a head, where there was a really good statement you made in that film. I was trying to write this stuff down, but it was something about how that we have given into our pain and desire so much, our fear of pain and our need for instant gratification so much, that we've kind of lost our way, that we've kind of trapped ourselves. You said it in a different way though, right? But that's true. Like, there is no sense of wonder anymore, or
Right, we become prisoners of our fears and desires.
that's it. Prisoners of our fears and desires. So we desire to have, and then we just desire to keep having, or we fear something, and we become prisoners by both of them. And we don't take, it's like there's no more soulful journeys, which what we really should be doing, right? Because once we all start taking these soulful journeys, we can really see where the power is, and the power lies within us. We created these dependent systems. We created them. We allowed them to happen and created them for our own, based on our own fear and desires. That's true. It's so true, man. So if that's the case, then who's really to blame?
And there's no one. We have to blame ourselves. But I don't think in a negative way we have to blame ourselves. It's just become aware of it. Once you understand it, once you understand the banking system, there's nothing necessarily evil about it. And if you wanted to get into more detail, Professor Werner talks about this too. It can work. Even modern banking done right, there's a way it can work and be and not be something that's a negative. What's the problem with modern banking? The real problem with modern banking is if you create money only to buy an existing asset. So if you create money to create something new, like imagine you want to build a warehouse. You got a little company, you want to build a warehouse. We create money and you build a warehouse. You see what I mean? You're actually creating something of equal value. So it's not necessarily a negative, right? System works. But when very wealthy people use leverage, so they just create money, for example, for speculation, then all it does is just turn the rich into the mega rich. And that's where you're getting these problems that you see now. That the differences between the mega rich and normal people has just gotten to an extreme where it's almost like two different worlds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it used to be like back in the 50s and stuff that, the middle class had a good life, the nuclear family, the middle class and all that. And now it's the divide is so massive that the middle class, they get the worst of every end of this system, they end up, which is okay. I guess it's okay, but it's not, right? And so now, and although we're about to have to take a break, but now people are trying to fix this with blockchain, artificial intelligence, AI, Bitcoin, There's people trying to innovate in ways which I don't necessarily, I think is just another thing that we're creating instead of dealing with the problem, because I don't think, in my opinion, and I want to talk to you about this after the break, that putting machines or a blockchain system in charge of our finances would work. I don't know what your opinion on that is. I'm curious to find out, but you guys, we do got to take a break, but if you want to go check out the website, you can go to thecactusland.com. Go to Robert Bonomo's YouTube channel and check out his new film, Twilight of the Archons. You can also check out the 21 Faces of God. We'll be right back. More Lighting the Void coming up. Stay with us. Hey, Fringe FM listeners, did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or no Wi-Fi available, you can still listen to every minute of the Fringe FM by calling 701-719-3971. No smartphone app or internet needed. Saves your data plan and no extra cost if you have unlimited minutes. Call 701-719-3971. That's 701-719-3971. Listen to the Fringe FM on any phone, anytime, anywhere.
AncientLifeOil.com. That's AncientLifeOil.com. Are you stressed? I mean, who isn't? Anxiety creeping in? No, not that. Is sleep hard to attain because your brain just won't slow down? We're living in crazy times, and the fear knob has been turned up. Okay, there's an answer. Take a big breath, exhale, and go log on to AncientLifeOil.com. CBD, broad and full spectrum, organic and non-GMO CBD for you to enjoy. Change your tune from fear to calm, from brain overload to clear thinking. 0.003 THC on full spectrum and 0% THC on broad spectrum. Competitive pricing with the best quality. Also know everything is going to get better. No worries, be happy. CBD can help calm so your nerves don't think they're a 6-string electric guitar. Enjoy life, smile, and log on to AncientLifeOil.com for great CBD. That's AncientLifeOil.com. You'll be glad you did.
Want to know what's on the Fringe FM? Check out our schedule at thefringe.fm.
Hola, Fringe listeners. This is Dave Cruz of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to The Fringe FM.
This is Malorcas45, fan of The Fringe FM, challenging everyone to open their mind's eye. Listen to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop to gain precision for your third eye vision.
My name is Jake. I'm from Billings, Montana, and I am a Void Walker.
Hey, Joe Roop. Thanks for lighting the void. This is Janine in the bluegrass of Kentucky, and I am a Void Walker.
What's up, guys? This is Damien from San Marcos, Texas, and I'm a Void Walker. I listen to the show to keep myself aligned with the world.
Hi, this is Laura, aka Laura Lavender. I'm from Las Vegas, and I listen to Lighting the Void because it helps me understand some of the strangest experiences I've had. So thanks for all that you do and for always being there for us, Joe.
Hi, this is Kronox from Belgium, and you're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Roop.
Hey, this is country music singer and void walker Jason Benoit, and when I need my fix on the world of magic and the capabilities of the human consciousness, I listen to Joe Roop right here on Lighting the Void Radio.
Born out of the alchemical tradition of Paracelsus is a medical tradition called Spagyria. Though not many people practice this work today, Phoenix Aurelius has been researching and teaching this work for the last 15 years, and he needs your support.
Hi, I'm Phoenix Aurelius, and I'm the founder of the Phoenix Aurelius Research Society, where I perform modern scientific research on the methods and techniques of Paracelsian alchemy and spagyria for health, wellness, agriculture, ecology, and more. All my work is 100% funded by the public, so if you like what I'm doing and you want to support my research, please consider making a purchase of spagyric medicines from my apothecary, fund your own spagyric IDF wellness research, or participate in my group study or one-on-one immersion courses so that you can learn how to perform this work for yourself. I want to thank you in advance for your support.
Visit thefringe.fm/alchemy research and enter coupon code FRINGE and receive 15% off anything and everything on the website. That's thefringe.fm/alchemy research. And thank you for doing your part and keeping alchemy alive in the modern day. Back to Lighting the Void. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of a connection issue with Robert over in North Africa, but he should be calling in momentarily to get, hopefully, to get online here. But we were talking about his documentary, his new documentary, which is Twilight of the Archons. And basically what I was getting at before we took the break is that we have, I guess what you could say is we've developed systems of dependence, and the very initial system that we did that with was the banking system, because the banking system doesn't work the way that you think it does, right? It doesn't work at all the way we think it does. We think that we go to the bank and there's just a ton of money sitting in a building somewhere, and that's where all the money comes from. We get the loans and all this stuff from, but it's not how it works. And you need to watch the film so you can see where the initial, I guess if you want to look at it from a conspiratorial sense, the all-seeing eye stuff came from. Where did the initial dependent system come from? And it's the banking system. Then the education system is another one that we created to actually, it's really crazy. I mean, because it really starts making a lot of sense. It's the education system that we have. We created people to fit right into this banking system. And you'll have to forgive me because I'm trying to get Robert back on here. He's having some issues with the connection in North Africa there. So I gave him the call-in number, which, by the way, we do have the 1-800 number back. So if you want to call into the show, it's 1-800-588-0335. You can get into the show. But I don't like talking about conspiracy too much on the show, but this isn't conspiracy. This is just flat out truth, actually. There he is. Let's see if I can bring him on now. I don't know if that's Robert. Robert, is that you? Is that you? Do we have you on the line? Yeah. I want to make sure I got this set up right, though. Hold on just a second. There you go. I don't know what happened to the connection, man. Maybe it was the Archons doing it. So, can you hear me?
They don't like the banking talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. So before the break, we were talking about the banking system, but this isn't really like, it's not the systems that need to be blamed. And I kind of get what you were talking about there. It's more of like the social structure of the way things are. And if anything proves that, it's social media, it's Twitter, it's Google, it's all these different social systems that show us how we've become dependent on this and how they have this kind of control over us. But I'll let you talk on that, because I don't like just pointing the finger and saying, well, it's the banking system. Oh, well, it's money. Well, it's the Archons. I think it's important that we kind of understand what all this stuff really means, you know?
Yeah, and what modern banking has done, banking that has detached itself from anything concrete, say in the sense of the dollar used to be based on gold, is that there's unlimited, infinite leverage. So when you look at, for example, the 2008 financial crisis, it's all based on infinite leverage. So that just means you borrow on top of assets that you borrowed. If you have enough money, you can create immense amounts of money. So this is a disequilibrium, I think, socially. And if you look, and you see that in the uber wealthy, it's like there's two Americas. And if you look on social media, the scary thing about social media for me is, having worked in advertising, especially digital marketing, I've seen how the growth of data has allowed marketers to influence people in ways that 10 years ago seemed unthinkable. I'm talking 10 years ago. What they can do to create desires in your mind, and then not everyone, but you put an ad out there, you create enough desires, people fulfill those desires, and you make money off it. And it's not that they're evil. I'm telling you, I used to work in there. I mean, I was any especially good person, but it's just a business. But when you give a business that kind of power, it's amazing what they can do.
Yeah, well, they did a lot of social experiments and stuff on that too. It's just I really feel like that breakaway. I don't want to say breakaway societies, but I got through talking to Lydia and Arturo De Leon the other day, and they live off grid, and it just seems like, is it really come down to that choice? Because at the end of, I don't want to give away your whole film, but you talked about in the end there, like should we actually revolutionize everything, start over? Do we don't, like, you understood the energy it takes to create a new society, a new system, like trying to find the answers to fix this. I think you asked all the right questions, and you said in the documentary, it's important that we ask the right questions instead of just, being sheeple about all this stuff. But we look at democracy as a good thing. Like democracy is the answer to everything. But I think, to me, isn't it kind of obvious now that the design of democracy that was created, that one we have now, isn't really what we thought it was going to be? I mean, it's too easily controlled by systems like this that you can depend on. It's too easily manipulated. Everything is too easily manipulated. It's all about image manipulation, playing on your desires. I mean, what can we do? I'm not asking you for the answers unless you got an opinion on that, but that's the question we need to be answering, is like, how do we evolve at this point, or is it too late? What do you think?
Well, I think what you said about democracy is absolutely crucial. I mean, if you look at America at the end of the 18th century and how people got information, how they informed themselves, and who they were, and you compare that to the United States in, what year is this, 2021?
Yeah.
You can't, what was a democracy in 1790 is not a democracy now, because now with the tools we have, you can control people's minds in a way that you couldn't at that time.
Yeah.
And so, it's apples and oranges. So to say it's just an illusion to say what was going on at the end of the 18th century and what's going on now have anything to do with each other. So, to base all of your faith in this concept, it's a pure abstraction. Democracy, what is it? Who can even define it? Today's world, what is it? I mean, I don't know what it means. Who has the most money to influence people? Who is it? CNN? Is it Fox? Is it, I don't know, these new networks? I mean, you can't. I think even to talk about democracy is it's like talking about God or religion.
Yeah.
In everyday life, it's absolutely meaningless. Absolutely meaningless.
So when you hear people talk about archons or reptilians or things that they're trying to blame, what I say blame or point the finger at, right? What's the first thing that you think of? Do you think of, because the first thing that I think in my mind is, and I've always thought this, is that we created this, that I can't prove this scientifically, but intuitively I know based on everything that I see every day is that we are constantly creating our reality. We're creating the good things and we're creating our own prisons. And I kind of think that we don't want that responsibility. We select our leaders. We selected this country. We fought for this country because we were tired of taxation without representation. That's what it was. I guess they say it was all about. We created a government based on what? Well, how did we even create that government? What was that model based off of? It's like, do people even ask these questions anymore? And we live in a different society than we did now than we do back then, because everything is run on influence. It isn't run on merit, integrity, or anything like that. Everything now is status quo, influence, and image. And it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
So the government system that we have now is nothing but manipulation. That's all it is. That's what it feels like to me anyways, right? So I think we kind of do need a revolution, but how do we even go about that?
And that's where I think I just want to get back to the question you asked about when I hear people talk about, I don't even name them because I'll piss people off.
Yeah.
But any conspiracy out there, let's just say any of them. The first thing that comes to mind is projection.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people projecting their shadows on the other side. I mean, let's take the last election. So if you have the left, Donald Trump was just the shadow. He was there. Everything they said about him was true about them.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
All of it. And if you flip it, everything the Trump supporters said about the left, it was about them. They can't see themselves. And when I look at politics that way, that's what I see. I just see people projecting their shadows on each other. You know, if people just say, okay, wait, let me relax. The world will go on perfectly well without you. Don't worry. It will go on. First of all, no. Second of all, if you look inside, that journey inside, and like you said, this couple that you've spoken to that went off the grid, turn the phone off. Instead of going on your 4G phone ranting about 5G, turn both of them off. Buy one of those Grandpa Nokias for a month and see what happens to your brain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just like get your unconscious away from all of the programming. Yeah. Like even on the internet, when you look up, so the internet's supposed to be this place full of knowledge, facts, and information, but is it really? Because most of the stuff is, most of the stuff is speculative unless you pull up a document or a scientific experiment or some real journalism. Most of the stuff that you look up is based on reviews, opinions, or hearsay, or what someone thinks, right? So it's like, if you're surrounded in a world that's based on image, what people think, what people judge on this or that, what's the new fad, it's a constant, and the brain is just like just taking in this stuff all the time. And the moment you get still or try to meditate, you can feel it. You can feel it. You can feel all of the chaos that you have to get rid of before you can level out. And it didn't used to be that way, man. I mean, we don't even get out in nature enough as much as we should. You hear people preaching about all this all the time. Go outside, get off your phone, get in nature. But I feel like it's beyond that now, man, because they're about to launch all these robots. Everything that Ray Kurzweil, pretty much everything that he's talked about when it comes to technology, AI, the singularity, all of that stuff is happening spot on. Kurzweil's predictions are probably some of the freakiest predictions I've ever witnessed before. Like, he just saw it all adding up. I think that's what worries me the most is machines, the internet, and artificial intelligence and all this other stuff taking the place of real human interaction. I'm freaking out about it, actually.
Well, you can take this. I think we can take this a couple different ways. First, I would say, talking to people in the industry that I know, who are cutting edge people. When I talk to them, that's the first thing I ask them. I said, "Where are we as far as the whole AI thing goes?" And most of them will say we're farther ahead than most people think we are. So it's not hype anymore.
Right.
It's not hype. And I can just explain that real quickly. If you look at airplanes, the Wright brothers couldn't get a plane in the air until we got a combustion engine small enough with enough horsepower. Then the plane worked. Look at music online. It didn't happen until we had enough bandwidth for music, right? Remember the internet in the mid 90s? It took like 10 minutes for like an article to come up.
Yeah.
As soon as bandwidth got higher, audio worked. And then in the 2000s, video worked. What AI needed, just like the Wright brothers needed a combustion engine that was small enough and had enough power in it and didn't weigh so much for a plane to work, it needed data. And until you had data, AI is just a dream. Now we have reached that point of critical mass where there's enough data where AI is working, incredibly well. So it's probably farther on than most people imagine. So that's one thing folks have got to keep in mind. This is not hype. This is not the future. This is now. This is going on now, right now. I mean, I live in Tunisia. This is not, the super advanced country in the world. And I was talking to a programmer the other day who works in France. A lot of Tunisians work in France as programmers. A lot of good Tunisian programmers, they go to France and make good money. And this guy said, "What are you working on?" He's like, "Oh, I'm working on an AI system that predicts when a washing machine will need maintenance." So, this stuff is exponential. So it's upon us. It's not like it's in the future. It's now. So we have to understand that. The second part I think it's really important is this good or is it bad? And I think it's important to stay neutral on that, because it's like saying, was the printing press good or bad? Was the internet good or bad? It just is.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. Well, that's another thing too.
There's no going back. There's no putting the toothpaste back.
That's another thing too. Kurzweil predicted that they would be able to map out the brain in a way that even the machines would have emotional intelligence, all this other stuff, or to be able to copy emotional intelligence, things like that. But what they can't answer, if you really think about it, is still, no matter what they do, what is consciousness, and is the machine itself does it ever become aware? Just because it can have emotional intelligence and compute things and act out certain programs doesn't mean that it's aware like we are. And we're just disempowering ourselves by even becoming, we're already doing it. We already got people becoming emotionally dependent on robots, treating them as real boyfriends and girlfriends and companions and all this other stuff. Like, what the hell is going on? It feels like there's something out there trying to just suck the soul out of people, to get them in zombie mode, suck the soul out of them until they're dead. Almost kind of like the Matrix, drain the energy out of them so that they don't explore their soul, their consciousness, life. What happened to people, man? People used to not be so afraid of pain because we live in a world, right, full of sensory perception, desire, or pleasure and pain. That's it. Sensory perception, pleasure, and pain, if you want to think about it like literally or whatever. But now it's like we're trapped by those things, the fear of pain and the desire for pleasure, and becoming more and more unconscious and more dependent on machines and systems. Like, isn't that the epitome of evil?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say so?
Think about this, Joe. Yeah, think about this. You remember in the Matrix, the humans were the batteries for the Matrix?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Now, think about when you go out to any place and watch people, say in a restaurant or a bar or cafe or whatever, everyone's got their phone out and they're looking at their phone. But if you work in advertising, if you work in big data, you're looking at them going, what they think it's an advertising-based model, but it's not. It's a data-based model. Their data is what's being sold. That's where the money is. So when you look at it that way, you see all these people putting their time into a phone that these companies are monetizing. So they're monetized. So you work all day, then you go out to some cafe, bar, or sit at home and hang out on your phone, and they're monetizing your time after you work. So you really are a monetary battery for Silicon Valley, which takes that money, buys newspapers, and then pumps all sorts of nonsense in your brain. So you can't even think politically. You are literally a zombie. Throw the phone out. Throw the thing out. Stop screaming about 5G and just throw out your 4G phone.
But if you must use a smartphone, download the Fringe FM app, by the way. Like, I feel trapped too by this stuff because I run a system based off of all these things, you know? Like, I do. I developed the freedom in my life. What freedom that I do have from working for somebody based off these systems. But I think there's a healthy way to go about it. It's like we should turn off it's kind of like the cable guy, right? Someone's got to kill the babysitter. You know, when Jim Carrey says that, like, you turn it off. That's it. You don't at least turn it off.
Yeah. And for example, I what I do is I don't use a smartphone and I have a PC. So when I leave the house, I'm free. So if I'm not, you know, I leave the house and I'm not connected. When I come home, I spend too much time in front of the PC. I do. I need to spend less time. So I started trying to read a lot more disconnected. So not from a phone or anything. I just have an ebook that's not connected. So, I mean, we can find ways to find that middle ground, you know?
I wonder how we get back to, I really wonder sometimes, like, you know, you brought up that question in the documentary, like, what is God, you know? Or I guess it was Joseph Campbell that talked about the idea of God. And God is the idea of God is the idea of a source that comes from consciousness that we're all trying to explore. I feel like that we stopped exploring that. We stopped exploring who we really are, why we're here, what life is really all about. We're afraid to take journeys. I mean, even what was the comedian that said it the other day? I can't think of his name. He's funny as hell, though. He was talking about that. He said humans have lost their sense of wonder. We want instant gratification so much we're afraid to take risks, and when we don't get what we want, like right away, it's like we're afraid of the journey. When a long time ago, before all this stuff ever happened, I mean, we would worship the movement of the sun, the fact that we could breathe and live and cultivate and do things like that all day and have interaction, relation, and explore life. It was a journey, but now it's just like we've caved into we're becoming these parasites, so to speak. I don't want to call humans parasites, but if you think about it from an energetic point of view, we really have become that in a lot of ways, haven't we?
Yeah, I mean, just look at dating in Rome. Because I teach at a university, and you talk to the kids about this, and they say, you know, with Instagram and Tinder and all this stuff, it's become something you don't see when kids talk about romance now. There's no romance in it. And you can see they're telling you, they're saying there's something wrong. You know?
Yeah.
That idea of something romantic, you wait for a love letter, you fall in love. It's a slow process. No, as soon as they get in a fight, they're on Tinder and they're out with somebody else. You know, it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, right. Like there's a new boyfriend or girlfriend the next day, and they're literally like swiping left or right. Yes, no, yes, no. Now, how the hell are you even getting to know these people? It's so superficial nowadays. It's crazy. Yes, no, 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 yes. And I'm thinking that's insane. These are people, you know. And a real relationship, in my opinion, it takes a long time to really get to know somebody. That's what a relationship is about, is like taking the journey with somebody to get to know them, to grow with them, all this other stuff. And the romance part too that you're talking about. That's totally gone. It's gone. And I honestly feel like I don't exist, like I'm never going to make it, because I love those things. If I feel isolated. So then what is this about then, Robert? Then it's about, you're like a void walker. You're like the ultimate void walker in this sense with the Archons. I want to talk a little bit more, because we're at the top of the hour, but I want to talk a little bit more esoteric and occult stuff with you too, since we've talked about this on the top level with the money and the banking systems and the social structure. I want to kind of get a little deeper as we go into the night here. But we're here with Robert Bonomo. You can go to thecactusland.com. That's the website for reference. We'll be right back. 1-800-588-0335. That's the call-in number too. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Dude, right a second for a call.
Oh yeah, we got 5.
Void Walker.
This is Kevin Doherty, a beginner Void Walker. I'm from Vancouver, BC. I know a little about a lot, and as Leonard Skinner said, I guess the rest. I learned a lot from Mr. Root in the show, and heard it from the beginning. I knew right then he was going to be a new art gal. Thanks for all your shows, and keep it up.
Hey, this is Derek from Mass, aka the Night Stalker, and I'm a Void Walker.
This is Mark from Chicago, and I walk the void to ascertain what is consciousness.
My name is Jared Johnson, and I'm from Humboldt County, California. I do not know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been made hidden as a part of a family of explorers of consciousness. I'm a Void Walker. Thanks, Joe Rube.
This is Barbara Charlton from Metaphorical Archaeology. If you've ever had a traumatic paranormal experience, the effects of it may stay with you for years. Who do you talk to? You can't go to conventional help. What we do is we use emotional freedom techniques or tapping to actually neutralize the effects of that event. Maybe when you tell the story now, your heart races and your palms get sweaty. You don't even want to think about it because you don't know how to neutralize that. That's what EFT tapping does. It neutralizes those emotions. The circuit that was recorded on is gone. The energy flows freely and you're free of it. And that's what emotional freedom is all about. We offer this as a pro bono service, but this is something that I offer because no one, it seems, is helping people with these experiences. If you'd like to reach me, it's really easy. My cell phone is 214-995-3754. Please leave a message. I will get back to you as quickly as possible. Or you can email me, barb.eft@gmail.com. And EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. Reach out to me. It's confidential. This works. You won't believe the results.
Have you heard of heavy metals?
Yeah!
I'm not talking about the heavy metals in the junkyard. I'm talking about the heavy metals that build up in your body. Heavy metals in your body can make you feel sluggish, fatigued, and just plain off. Why not try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com? Cleansing your body and making you feel great. Cleansing the inside of your body of intruders that sneak their way into you and set up an intruder camp. Life Change Tea helps remove unwanted intruder camps. Brew it, steep it, and drink in the results. Tastes great, so you can create a new health habit. Our tea loves to help people. It just needs the chance. So order yours today by logging on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. Our Life Change Super Strength Tea is waiting. This could be a beautiful relationship. Take charge of your health. Order at GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com.
The Fringe FM isn't just a radio station. We also provide services for all your audio production needs. If you're interested in live radio or pre-recorded podcasts, we're here to help. We even do audio enhancements and voiceovers if needed. If you want to do a podcast or live radio show and even want the option to syndicate on terrestrial radio, from simple audio file enhancement to live production and call screening, we have you covered. We have worked with some of the best professionals in the business in order to provide coaching instruction for content creation, show structure, and more. Contact The Fringe Digital Media for more at info@thefringe.fm. That's info@thefringe.fm, or call 501-777-5631 for a consultation.
From the Kingdom of Arkansas, you are listening to Joe Root and Lighting the Void here on the Fringe FM.
Hey, this is Amalia from Know the Self Mystery School. I know that you are in the midst of massive change. We all are. This is the great turning, the time that we all decided to be here on the planet. Do you know why you came here to be a part of this crazy time? If not, I invite you to join my mystery school. I have a 9-week course called Activate Your Mission. And in this course, you're going to learn how to erect crystal clear boundaries so that you can hear that inner still voice that's going to guide your every move. Even if you're dealing with feeling weighed down by obligations and being enslaved to the system, this course is going to give you the tools you need to illuminate your shadow and awaken to your soul's mission. The moment you sign up to the school, you are going to be greeted by not only a group of soulful spiritual warriors, but you're also going to get some massive karmic clearings, and you're going to feel the energy. It's palpable. I hope you'll join me in the school where together we're going to unlock your divine mission.
Activate your mission by going to thefringe.fm/soul mission and put in the code word fringe and receive $50 off today. All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. I hope you guys have started the Void Walker Challenge of the Week, which that is make human connection. By all means, this week, make some type of, especially physical connection, whether it's a smile or a hug or whatever. Don't let them get you down. Robert Bonomo is our guest here tonight, and you can go to his website at thecactusland.com, www.thecactusland.com, as well as his YouTube channel. Just look up Robert Bonomo, and you can see the 21 Faces of God, which is one of my favorite documentaries on the tarot, and his new documentary, Twilight of the Archons. Also want to thank our sponsors at Get the Tea and Ancient Life Oil. I mean, this is important. I talk to Ronnie just about every day and what he's doing. The reason why he's so successful at what he's doing with this tea company is because he's making people better. You know, there's a lot of tea out there that actually makes you, be honest with you, you can drink it, you grab it right from the store, and it makes you sick. This tea doesn't make you sick. It makes you better, cleans you out, and makes you better, and everybody swears by it. The first round is going to get you, I can tell you that. But after that, if you keep drinking it, you're just going to feel better. And isn't that what this is about, really, too? A lot of what we're talking about tonight is just feeling better, like getting back into the soul, getting back into who we are as beings, right? And when we step away from all these systems that we depend on, whether it's reading a book, whether it's meditation or walking in nature or having an actual relationship with friendships or romantic relationships, like get back into living your life and stop with, letting your fears and desires trapping you. I mean, what is life without desire? It's like the core of alchemy. It's the core of everything that you want in life, romance included. And fears are okay as long as they're healthy, but they're also meant to be boundaries for you to break. So that's the part of excitement of life. We have a system now that's set us up in so many ways where we're controlled by these things. And I don't know. I just feel like it's time to get our power back, don't you? I mean, that's what it's all about, man. Get your power back. I feel disempowered. I'm not going to lie. I don't know about you, Robert, but in a way, I mean, I do feel disempowered. But you and I have both used the system because we're not here to blame things or like, just point fingers. We both use the system to express ourselves. You do it through documentaries. I do it through radio, and you do it through other ways too, which I think is great. But I just don't want to see it turn into something where we lose our humanity to the point where we stop asking the big questions like, who are we? Where do we come from? and essentially, like, what is consciousness? You know, that's what it's all about, I think.
Absolutely. And that question of what is consciousness itself is probably the most important question you can ask. That's the key question, because what you're asking is, who exactly am I? And when you ask that question, it seems like a ridiculous question, but look for yourself. No? For example, you fall in love. Who is exactly falling in love? Who is that I that falls in love?
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm going to answer that question, but when you really drill down into it, if you keep going and keep going, eventually, you know, you'll get some answers and you'll get some experience that's real. That's a real profound happiness, of bliss. And I mean that with relationships too. Joe, haven't you noticed lately in the last couple of years, people turn each other on and off? It's like, I'm just gonna ice this dude, or I'm gonna ice this girl.
the ghosting thing is a fad, or it's like breakup is a weapon. But honestly, I mean, I'm not saying I'm not guilty of it too, but you get kind of infected by it, right? That's what projection and toxicity is it's a perpetual thing that starts either from childhood or it starts somewhere else, and it kind of ripples, and then we start pointing fingers and blaming the other person, but we're not seeing things from a bird's eye point of view. Like this person just has pain, or this person has a desire that's not being fulfilled. How can I make this? Do I care about this person enough to make them happy, or at least let them know that I understand? Like, that doesn't even happen anymore. Like, we just ghost people. Ghosting, it's something that everybody talks about. It's a cool thing to do. And then we even read it like on people's text messages where people ghost each other. And that's traumatic. That's a traumatic thing to do to a soul, is ghost them. Wait till they get vulnerable, then ghost them. And we think it's funny. It's not funny. It's not.
Especially in the middle of a lockdown. You know, you're connected to somebody and you're ghosted, and you're like, what? I thought we were connected. And we're not.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, and people do it as defense mechanisms too. And it doesn't feel natural to me. Even the times that I've tried it, right? Even the times where I'm like, well, I'm just not going to talk to this person, or I'm just going to disconnect or whatever. The second I start getting back into isolation and I don't feel that conscious exploration through relationships, whether it's romantic, friendships, business, whatever, when I lose that human interaction and that depth, I feel like I lose a part of myself. And then I start realizing that's the system that we're in too. Not only are we in a system where we've come totally dependent on all these things, but they've isolated us too. What do you call that? What do you really call that? That's beyond slavery. It's beyond slavery. It's beyond being imprisoned.
It's a tough one, man, because there's something that's happening to our relationships. It's a subtle difference. It's not something maybe, you know, that you can put your finger on, but there's a subtle difference in relationships, and I feel it. I feel it everywhere. I feel it at work. I feel it, you know, in personal relationships. And I really think it's the instant gratification of, this person makes me happy, great. Something goes a little sideways, ice. I move on. I find somebody else. And that's not how we're hardwired. I mean, you know, we have 200,000 years of evolution, and it's not to interact this way.
Yeah. I mean, and how long are we going to be able to do that to each other? Like, I feel like these apps, like, I don't know, Tinder or even chat rooms, in a way, like chat rooms, I feel a little disconnected, even though I try to connect with people in chat rooms. That's why I like talking on the air so much. But I mean, I don't like ghosting. I can't even ghost or be ghosted for more than a day or two. Like, I can't do it. I don't like it. Right. Imagine being isolated for, weeks or months, because that's what's coming. Essentially, they want everybody to feel like they're in their own little world. You're all alone, you're misunderstood, and you're dependent on all of the systems too. Oh my God, man, that's worse than being a prisoner.
It's terrifying. Like, let me just give you a personal example. So I'm 53. So I remember going to the office and, BSing with everybody. This guy, that guy, talk about this. One guy you talk about baseball with, another guy you talk about conspiracy theories with, whatever. I go to work and I pop into people's office and I can tell they're not thrilled about someone coming in their office while they got their headphones on, doing God knows what. That whole that human interaction with younger generations, they're losing that kind of, 10 minutes with this guy, 10 minutes with that guy. It's not like they're your best friends, but they're just, you interact. We're losing that. And then with the lockdown, it became like, whoa, this is what's going on.
Yeah, right. So, but the cool thing is a lot of people are reaching out, Robert, about more people are reaching out about self-initiation, magic, the tarot, studying, spirituality, which I think is great. But, I want to make sure that they understand that, and we can go back and talk about the tarot here a little bit too, that tarot deck has a story inside of there that is all about initiation and empowerment. It's all about the levels of things that you experience through consciousness when you come to realize your own potential. And even then, you still don't have all the answers, but you take on this responsibility of, I create my reality. I create my energy, my environment. I am responsible for so much. I'm responsible for so much. And not only that, when people become vulnerable in any kind of way, doesn't mean just romantically. If someone comes up to you and says, hey, I don't have $1 to eat, or I'm lonely, or I don't feel understood, or the more intimate things get, it's not a joke. I mean, these are the most precious moments. It's like that movie, not the movie, but the book, Michael Newton, Journey of Souls. When he was taking clients underneath and into between lives, the guides would ask these people not about their careers, like there were championship boxers and all kinds of stuff, right? The guides would ask them about the little moments in life where connections were made. That's what they wanted to know about. Why did you hug this person, or why did you ignore them? Why did you not help this person, or why did you not take a risk here or there, or why did you make this person happy? There was this curiosity that these guides wanted to know about these things. It was really strange. I don't know if you ever read that book, but it was fascinating. Journey of Souls.
And I think there's something that's important. Those sort of just interactions sometimes can be incredibly intimate. It's just somebody you meet and you talk with for 20 minutes at the bus stop or whatever. Can be an incredibly authentic and as real and as intimate as a conversation with your best friend.
But dude, like here's the thing. Like my son is 6'15". I love my son to death, but he's embedded into the video game world in this society. He's a teenager, right? Teenagers are going to go along with what's cool and what the time is. There's nothing you can do about it. And I love him to death, but it kills me when he doesn't talk to me or ghost me. Like it's kind of like a fad that they do. It's a fad that they do. I want to ghost this person. It's awful, man. I can tell you, to me, it's awful. Look, even if you decide, I feel like that you're done with an interaction that doesn't serve you anymore, or you're growing apart from somebody, like there's still a structured way to leave that situation. It doesn't have to be chaotic or ghosting or anything like that. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm getting older, Robert. I guess maybe.
But I think as you get older, you gain some wisdom. And I'm as guilty as anybody else of this. I am. I completely admit it. I'm no better than anyone else. But as I get older, I realize, like you said, you can tell someone, you know what, lately our interactions have been kind of tense. So you know what, let's just take a break. I still appreciate you, but I just need a break. There's nothing wrong with saying that. If you say that to someone, I think most people would say, you're right. It's been a little weird. Let's just take a break.
Yeah, I get that. Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. And You know what? I tell you what I do sometimes to feel better, and it's really weird because a few years ago I didn't do this at all, and maybe it's because I'm getting older too. But if I just really want to break and to talk to somebody besides, I don't know, maybe my best friend or my partner or whatever like that, I'll call my dad because my dad's extremely old school, you know. And even though I had a crazy relationship with him when I was a kid, now he's older and he's so laid back. He literally doesn't take anything seriously, and he's from a different time and different generation where it just feels better talking to him. Does that make sense to you? Like,
Yeah, it's like connecting to something deeper in you.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't have a whole lot of really like good, I know a lot of people, but the people that are the closest to me, I can barely, I can put them on my one hand, is because I feel like I have the most genuine, deep connections and real, authentic connections with those people. But it does seem like, I mean, even just like the 1990s, maybe early 2000s, I don't know when this really turned, but it does seem like it wasn't that long ago when there were a lot of people that were that way. Just a lot of people that weren't so busy and caught up in, just inundated by technology and inundated by politics and fear and all of these systems where we could just sit back and just chill and talk. It just seemed like, I don't know. I ask this question all the time. Am I getting older and time's going by faster and I'm becoming uncool and unaware? Or am I in fact becoming more aware of what's really going on? And now I'm the old person that's talking about how messed up everything is, like my dad used to be,
No, I've had the same thing with myself. I'm saying, damn, is it just I'm getting older? And Joe, no, let's just take the politics thing. Do you remember, I used to work at United Parcel Service, that before it went public. That was old school, serious old school. You would never dream of mentioning anything political at work. It's just something you didn't do. It was just people would look at it like, what is wrong with you? Because it was just something we didn't talk. We didn't talk about religion. We didn't talk about anything too political. We just didn't do it. We talked about football or whatever.
Yeah.
Now you go to work and people throw political ideas at you. They just throw them at you. And it's like throwing a hand grenade at somebody.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, it's true. It's like, hi, nice to meet you. Here's a hand grenade. Boom. What are you doing? It's like, dude, what is going on? Especially you come from the South, things are a little bit more traditional, and people have a little bit of a sense of sort of, speed of, you don't get to the political in 5 minutes. And we need to just take a big break from politics. Whatever your politics are, just leave them out of relationships. If I get one more email from someone in my family about politics on one side or the other, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't want to talk about politics. I don't.
Yeah. Like, so you can be like, so are you going to come over for Christmas and have dinner? No, they don't even want to talk about that, right? Let's just want to talk about how messed up Trump is, or Biden, or how the world's coming to an end. I'm telling you guys, the world's been coming to an end since I was a kid. I've heard this stuff since I was a kid. Look, the world is going to be okay. The world, I feel like the Tool song, where mom's going to fix it all. The world has cycles. The universe has cycles. There's nothing that you can control. These cycles are going to keep happening, right? So what we can't control is what we're creating while we're here. That's what we can control.
And we can control the stories that control us. There are a lot of stories.
You mentioned that in your documentary. Yeah, go ahead. Talk about that.
Because there's a lot of stories we believe. And these narratives, they control our lives. I mean, take political narratives on either side. These narratives are really starting to take control of people's lives. So, are these stories serving us well on a personal level? So if I buy into whatever political narrative, conspiracy narrative, is this thing really helping me? One. And two, is it a rational belief? I mean, if I really, really, really think about it, do I know that this story is 100% true? So if I don't even know if it's true and it's not helping me, it's like carrying around bricks.
Just take those bricks and toss them. And it doesn't mean you have to have an opinion. It's okay not to know. It's okay. There is no problem with not knowing something. It's a wonderful place to be. I don't know. We've forgotten that little phrase. You know what? I have no idea. It's perfectly fine. We don't have to have opinions, because every time you have an opinion, it's like carrying around a story. And you know, a lot of these stories, not only are they useless, they're not helping you, they're hurting you.
Yeah, I've been guilty too of carrying personal narratives in my life where I take what's happened to me in my childhood or the past and project it onto new people I haven't even really got to know yet, but because they did something that triggered me or whatever, just like Carl Jung talks about this, then my mind instantly categorizes them, really. But the thing is though, like if you really take the time to get to know people, there's categories are kind of BS. Even in the field of narcissism and things, we talked about that too. Jung was the only guy that talked about it. I was like, yeah, well, everybody has narcissistic traits. Everybody. So what are we really doing here? We're categorizing people, trying to make them out to be something to blame for something so we can be the victim. It's like that weird savior, perpetrator, victim mentality thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. If you go really back, if you just think about how do I experience life? I experience life through my field of awareness. And in this field of awareness, I have thoughts, sensations, pleasure, pain, but it all happens in that field doesn't change. And it's the same for everybody. And that's what we essentially are. So even gender and sexual identity and all this stuff, great, fabulous. But fundamentally, we're all that same field. And that field has no qualities, no colors, no smells. It just is. And that's the basis of who we are. And when you go that deep, these stories become meaningless. It's just kind of something that, yeah, okay, great. Another story. But we don't have to buy into them. And because when we buy into them, what happens is we get manipulated.
Yeah, right. And what if the real truth was, and this is just a what if here, that the real truth was to finding your power was just like the old mystery schools used to teach, that they used to teach to learn to ground yourself, to become emotionally intelligent, to learn to balance the elementals, the elements in your body, or what those things correspond to learn to come to know the masculine and feminine energies inside you, and then to learn how to give energy properly and how to heal and love, right? What if there's so much power in that's the truth, and that whatever these archons or whatever you want to call them is they've been trying to get us away from that. You know, all of these old mystery schools talk about when the two become one. Even in the book of Thomas, there's stuff, the two become one, the chemical wedding, yada, 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 right? What is that? That's two either opposites or two of individual, of anything you can think of, coming together. And that's where power is. Think about that for a minute, right?
That's where love is. When we see that the two are one, when I look at someone and I realize we're the same, that's real love. And in that moment, that insight of, my God, we're one. There you go. Boom. You got it. Because in the end, it's all one. And all the religions point to that. If you go deep enough into the religion, especially the esoteric sides of them, they all point to that. It's in Islam, it's that way. The cosmic Christ, all these things, it's the same idea. You just got to dig deep. You got to get beyond the menu and eat the real food.
Yeah, right. So if there really was an evil system, what would that evil system do? I think it would first disconnect anything from coming together, divide as much as possible. And then once it accomplished that, then it would start doing things to divide you.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Exactly.
It would tear apart the masculine and feminine energies inside you first, you know, the things that make you all your masculine traits and feminine. It would separate them, make you insecure about both of them, etc. Then tear you down intellectually, emotionally, to make you insecure about your own desires, and just question who you are all the time until you don't even know what or who you are anymore. And not only that, then it makes you independent on everything outside of you to answer those questions for you. Oh, now you're completely powerless. That would be the epitome of evil. Anyways, right, we got to take a break. We'll be right back. I talked right through the break. Sorry. More Lighting the Void coming up. Stay with us.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7 with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The truth is out there, and so are we. KTLK, Digital Broadcasting, The Fringe FM.
Want to support Lighting the Void? Just go to lightingthevoid.com, sign up on our membership page, and pick your package where you can get exclusive content, readings, and exclusive behind-the-scenes content. Also, check out the LTV shop where you can get your very own altar box, t-shirt, shack, hoodie with sigil, Roswell-style t-shirt, racerback tees, socks, long-sleeve shirts, stickers, and beanies. Keep Lighting the Void airing 5 nights a week by going to lightingthevoid.com and support today.
Is that a new music app?
Yeah, check it out. Surfer Music Discovery. It links to thousands of online stations, but the twist is you see the song names and artists that are now playing live.
That's different. No guessing. Looks like a waterfall of music.
So many formats. Rock, oldies, country, R&B, jazz, and a whole lot more.
How's that spelled?
Surfer. S-U-R-F-R.
Is it expensive?
It's free. No need to sign up or sign in.
Get the Surfer Music app free from Google Play or the App Store.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Lighting the Void and the Esoteric Scholar present the Altar Box, crafted and designed for magicians by magicians. Now you can take your practice with you. This beautifully handcrafted mobile altar opens and works as an altar for any of your spiritual, religious, or ritual practices. Made to travel and work in small spaces, the Altar Box comes with hidden compartments for your practice tools and accessories. The Altar Box also comes with a dark scrying mirror for scrying and reverses and fits perfectly also as a chalkboard for any sigil, symbol, or whatever you see fit to sketch. The Altar Box is handcrafted to carry as a small suitcase, so you may take your practice with you, and the hinges are made with solid material and hinged with leather and rivets for extra strength. The mirror piece and floor plate fit perfectly when closed, so no movement will happen. Use it in small places as well. You can practice meditation, magic, planetary magic, sigil magic, scrying, ritual. Never be without your practice tools again, no matter the setting or where you go. And this season, give the gift of magic for yourself or your loved one by grabbing your altar box. Was $249.99, now $199.99. The sale ends January 1st, 2021. Just go to lightingthevoid.com/altar box and get yours while the sale lasts.
I don't know all the answers to the questions about reality. I do not claim to know the ultimate truth about life. I seek that which has been hidden as a part of the family of explorers of consciousness. I am a void walker. Hey, this is Macon. You're listening to Lighting the Void with Joe Root.
All right, welcome back to Lighting the Void. I'm your host, Joe Roop. I want to welcome KFSA News Talk from Fort Smith, the Fayetteville area, to the program. Also, I want to thank our patrons for supporting the show. If you want to support the show, you can go to lightingthevoid.com, click on the Patreon banner, or make a donation or grab some swag. We're shipping out those altar boxes, the new ones, the 3. They're on their way. So James, Salcedo, David, and the other person, I can't think of your name off the top of my head, make sure you send me pictures of those altar boxes, and thank you all for your support. If you want to call in, it's 1-800-588-0335. Our guest tonight's Robert Bonomo from thecactusland.com. We're talking about his new documentary, Twilight of the Archons, and we have a caller on the phone lines. Looks like 713 area code. You're on the air with Robert Bonomo. Who are you speaking with?
Hi, this is Russell, sir.
Hi, Russell. What's on your mind? You got a question for Robert?
Hey, yeah. Well, no. What you said at the end of the break there, right before the break. I mean, I'm not trying to get political here or anything, but that sounds exactly what they're trying to shove down our throats right now. You know, the genital mutilation. You know what you were talking about. I mean, you know, like getting everybody confused about their sexual, you know, about being a male or a female. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, you know, I mean.
Well, no, I see your point.
You know, the cancel culture. It's you know, cancel culture and all this. It just, you know, worried about if you're a Nazi or not. You understand what I'm? You know.
Yeah,
you know?
I know exactly what you're saying. What's being attacked is our core essence. Number one, like it starts with a little bit of everybody's equal idea, and I get that everybody's equal, but also we're all individuals, and all of these individuals are really individual from everybody else around them, and that's okay. But what is happening is people have become so dependent on the government, they've become so dependent on the internet, fads, everything else to tell them who they are, and it's instead of celebrating our differences, well, now we're clawing to try to figure out who we are, and we need all this outside validation, and I think that's a real problem, you know.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think the biggest core problem is we got a bunch of bureaucrats that are trying to mold the black people into what they are, into. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're trying to paint them out to be victims of things that they're not actually victims of, painting narratives, all kinds of stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. If you rid the negativity and move forward with yourself and quit thinking backwards and move forward and, enlighten yourself and move forward other than going backwards, you're going to be so much richer,
You got anything to comment on that, Robert?
Yeah, I completely agree, because remember, these are just narratives. They're stories. And a lot of the people don't even understand what the story is.
Yeah, right.
I mean, this summer, think about last summer, all the stuff that was going on. And if you ask people, well, what exactly does that sign you're holding up mean? They couldn't tell you. What do you want? They couldn't tell you. But they liked the way the story felt, and so they screamed about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And they bought into it. Did it really help them? I'm not sure it really helped anybody.
Right.
Russell, where are you calling from?
Absolutely couldn't be more correct. Actually, I'm a truck driver. I call you sir all the time. I'm out in the middle of California.
I knew I recognized your voice. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm getting ready to. I'm passing right by Magic Mountain outside of Los Angeles. But,
right on, brother.
Just listening to your show, and that it just your topic is wonderful, and your guest is incredible, and could not be more on point tonight, guys. Thank you.
Well, keep on trucking, man. Thanks for your hard work. Thanks, Russell.
Yes, sir. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 1-800-588-0335. If you want to call in and talk about this stuff, look, I don't want to get anybody riled up or butthurt or anything. I just think like, and I'm glad Russell, and that's exactly what Russell's talking about too. Like for him to call in and say what he just said, a lot of people are afraid to say that because we're not the only ones. I mean, aren't you tired of having to look outside yourself to figure out who you are, what you want, what your desires are, what you're afraid of? I mean, aren't you tired of it? You have to look into your phone. Another thing that happens, Robert, that I used to do myself is the second I would get a symptom, I'd look on the internet, and the internet will tell you the worst of the worst. You're having a heart attack. You've got chlamydia. You've got, you know what I mean? Like it would just go to the worst thing ever, and you could just have a cold or gas or something,
No, but I like the chlamydia thing.
Yeah, but you know what I mean, dude. I'm just trying to make it funny.
Oh, no, it's funny, though. Yeah, I mean, it's so true. They're like, shit, what is that thing? That sounds like some kind of bug.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, it is like how you view things. I'm not saying that people that have chest pain shouldn't be worried about it. But when you have a chest pain and you look on the internet, it's like the worst of the worst, man. And then there's people like validating it too. Another example, which is almost like an epidemic right now, is opiate addiction, right? People that are trying to recover from some of the hardest stuff ever. And when you get online, you'll see all of these articles about just how hard it is. It's so hard. Well, yeah, it's hard. But there's maybe one or two people out there that are actually saying, nah, man, you can do it. Here's how I did it. It's like the victim thing. Let's see. 586 area code. You're on the air with Robert Bonomo. Who are you speaking with?
Hi, this is James Salcido.
What's up, James?
Not much. I was just, and hello, Robert. I was wondering what your views are regarding people with disabilities and how they fit, physical disabilities, and how they fit into all of everything you were talking about. I'm legally blind, so this is something that I'm always curious about, just in relation to any subject.
Okay. That's a tough question for anybody to answer. I'll let you do that one, Robert, since he's asking you directly.
Fundamentally, whether we have the full field of perceptions or -1 or -2, it makes no difference, because when I say, that feeling of love is the connection of who I am, and that who I amness, I don't think it's really related to every perception we have or every ability. It's just perceiving. It's being aware of yourself. And I think if you take that to the fact of somebody with a disability, the disability there, I think, becomes much less significant, because what I think the problem is, we talked about this before. Mm-hmm. We're looking outside for the answers, and the answers aren't outside, and they're not even in the body. They're in who we are fundamentally, and who we are fundamentally really isn't even our body. We're something else. And so I think when you look at it that way, the disability becomes much less significant.
Yeah, and I would say too that I kind of believe that your soul, and it's really hard too to say this because I'm not legally blind. So what do I know? I don't know, but I would think that from my experience that your soul came here for a purpose for that reason, right? Like it wanted to experience this kind of challenge. It might be for you to set the example, right? The best thing that you can do from your pain or setbacks or anything in your life is overcome them. And there's so many great stories about that too, by the way. Overcome them and set the example and inspire people in love and creation, which I know for a fact James is doing because he's creating a podcast and he's doing a great job. I helped produce it, you know, so he's doing that. But I can also see like this frustration that we ask the universe, like, why did, you know, if you really cared about me or you really loved me or if there really was a God or whatever, why would you put me in this position? Why would I put myself in this position? And I think that's a good question because we need to explore not only the connection, but that disconnection that we feel from our purpose. That needs to be explored, I think.
Sure. But I think it's important that no matter what, the reality is as real as anybody else's, and the experience is as authentic. And that's the key. I mean, that's what unites us. And that's at the end of the film when I try and bring in, 1 Corinthians is the idea of that bliss of being one with your being. And that's beyond anything that the body can offer.
Yeah, I would say this, like, what if let's just pretend for a moment that you're just a being of consciousness, like just a little beat of consciousness, and you came down and inhabited this body like a car, and you came into this beautiful world and said, I want to experience life, and I want to have it more abundant, and I want to experience love. And in order to experience this abundant light in life, I need to understand the opposites, and I'm cool with that because I just want to experience it. And then you get in your car, and the first thing that you do when you get in your car is you get trapped by the desire to experience life. You don't actually go do it because you're trapped by your fear too. And then you stick a machine on your right hand that keeps you from not moving anywhere. That's a screen that you look at. Like, what the hell did you even come into the body for?
And Joe, the most important thing is you forget that you're not part of the car. You think you're the car.
Exactly.
You're not the car. But that's the key. That's a key insight to understand that, for example, the parable of the prodigal son. That's what that parable is about. Or if you look at the, there's another one. It's slipping my mind, but that story is over and over. People forget who they are. They forget, and when you remember who you are, what you remember is, oh yeah, I'm not this car. I just came in here to take a ride. And the you in the car is the awareness, and the car is the body.
Really, yeah. So and that's a good belief too, because then if you have that belief, then what really does have power over you? Really?
Yeah.
Does it have power over your consciousness or just the things that you're perceiving with consciousness? And how much power does it have? Just like the food industry you talked about in your documentary. I mean, have we lost the ability? We haven't. There's still people doing it. But have we lost the ability to grow our own food? We haven't lost that ability yet. Have we lost the ability to hunt and fish? No. Anybody can do that stuff. Have we lost the ability to create our own power and our own electricity? No. Like, that's actually, there's a whole group of people into that stuff now. They're having awesome lives experiencing these journeys, going back to who we were in that sense. And I'm telling you, you can leave your body and come back to it. That's something else we should be exploring. But if we're constantly focused on the systems that enslave us and why we're angry at them, we're not changing a damn thing.
Yeah. The story, that's right. It's a Gnostic, it's the hymn of the pearl. It's that same story. The person forgets who they are when they remember. That's a very Gnostic idea. remembering who you are. And when we remember who we are, we're not the car.
Yeah.
And like you said, I talk to a lot of people in this world. You talk more than I do. You'll notice, I think that I found one link between people who kind of get it and people who don't. And there is a value in being a bit marginalized, being a little bit on the fringe. It helps. And so a lot of people who out there might feel on the fringe for money reasons, career reasons, disability reasons. Being out there on the fringe, there's an advantage to it. There really is. Because I've been kind of on both ends of it. And when I was inside, look, I was in Manhattan. I had a nice job in advertising, working on 3rd Avenue. It's really hard. It's really hard to live an authentic life in there. So if you're out on the fringe, remember, there's some real advantages of being out there.
The people that live on the fringe are the people, and the fringe doesn't necessarily mean paranormal. I try to explain that, but they're the people that have been liberating people since the beginning of time. The people that are willing to go outside the box, to push the boundaries, to face fear in big ways, to ask deeper questions. Those people are the ones that have evolved us. And if you're listening to the show, there's a high chance that you're one of those people. You're one of those people. So here's the thing, as we come towards the end of this, it's cool to talk about, but what would you say, Robert, is some of the first things that we could do? I mean, just based on your life experience, not that you're a guru, but your life experience, right? Like, what are some of the things that we could do to change this, even on an individual level?
I think the place to start is look at all the personal narratives, the political narratives, anything you believe, and just go through them. And there's a litmus test. One, is it rational? Does it make sense? And two, is it helping? So if it's rational and it's helping you, keep it. But if it's not, if it's irrational and it's not helping you, if you can check both of those boxes and be honest, you've got to be honest. You can't, if you can BS other people, don't BS yourself. If both of those boxes get checked, you got to undo that belief. And it's not easy. Let's face it. I mean, sometimes it's painful. Go through that. And then I think simplifying things, the simple life is the good life.
Yeah.
The less complexity in a person's life, the easier it is to get in contact with who you really are. All that glitter out there and the bells and the whistles and the hot girls in bikinis on Instagram and all this stuff, it's great. I love looking at a pretty girl just as much as the next guy. But, 5 hours a day, it's not good. It's not good.
Yeah, well, yeah, and everybody is like, oh man, that's a whole nother subject I can go down to, because like what's beautiful to one person, I think when you really start getting to know yourself, you start really developing your own tastes and with everything too, because we've categorized, that's something that's been categorized for a long time that needs to go away, is everybody has their own beauty. I don't know. I don't want to be too I guess, because I could be just a ugly son bitch trying to tell everybody I'm beautiful. Who knows, right? Like, who knows?
You wouldn't be the first one.
I wouldn't be the first one, right? But it's still like, what I think I get what you're saying though. The stories that we tell ourselves are the most powerful things that create our reality. What are you telling yourself about who you are, about the world, about everything? Like, what are you telling yourself? That's creating your reality.
And that's the story too. Like, love can only come through someone who has these physical characteristics. Is that story helping? Is it really helping? Because maybe it's not. And maybe if you get rid of that story and just say, you know what? I don't know what sort of physical type is my type to really have a deep, intimate relationship with. That could help, right?
I could, man. I don't know why you've brought up relationships quite a bit, and I'm not sure if you're going through that right now or whatever, Robert, but I think you're a decent looking dude. You got no problems there, bro. Like, I'm getting constant messages from girls right now about you. So you're cool. Don't worry about it.
Thanks, brother.
I'm just messing with you though. But yeah, that's cool that you bring that up too. And can you tell everybody before we get out of here, that I don't know what you got coming next. Do you got another project you're working on right now, or what are you thinking about doing next now that you're done with the Twilight of the Archons?
I'm actually working on myself, and I think that's the big project now. I had these 2 films, I got them out, and Joe, I really appreciate your support having me on. It's great. You really helped me out.
Yeah.
And so I'm really focusing on myself. That idea of I got to do this, I got to do that. It's kind of nice to think, you know what? I had those 2 projects, I got them done, and now I just want to focus on really going deep inside myself. So maybe next time I come on, there might not be a film, but I might have a little bit more
bigger insight. Yeah. I think you should always be on that journey too. Yeah, but that's great, man. That's great. I hope you don't disappear. Maybe, and because that might happen too. I've had people go on Spirit Quest and they just disappear. Poof. But
poof.
Yeah, that's it, man. They go so deep inside
if I go
themselves,
poof,
they're gone.
I'll make sure you get that Spotify $150 million contract, Joe.
There you go. That'll work. Right. And there'll be promissory notes from the bank. I don't know if it'll be real money or not.
Hey, but we'll take it.
You guys go to the cactusland.com if you want to check out Robert's site. Check out his YouTube channel. Watch this documentary. Watch the 21 Faces of God. Tomorrow night, we're going to have another guest on, Jonathan Royal. We're going to be talking about mind control, NLP, extreme hypnosis, and mind manipulation. Pretty interesting show. And then Matthew Mournian's coming back on too. So thank you guys for listening tonight. Up next is Ryan Gable from The Secret Teachings. You guys have a good night. Good night.